So what exactly are you doing here?
So we're just putting on plastic field readable, so it's got a number, so that people can send these numbers in to us. And then we can figure out where they go based on that number.
So you kind of follow their flight pattern? And
Yeah, so where they migrate.
From Canada down to Florida.
Really? Gulls travel that far?
Out on the islands too.
Yep. They can travel long ways in a short amount of time.
Really?
I think we had one gull that went, it was like Connecticut to Florida in 2 days or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
36.75.
Oh, not cooperating this time. Normally this is actually pretty easy. There we go.
So Nicole, what exactly are you doing with the skull right here, right now?
I'm collecting, and this is just a throat swab.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm just rolling it around the back of the, what is called the oropharynx, and collecting any mucus from the back of the gull's throat, and then we'll test it for the presence of influenza, among other pathogens as well.
So you're not doing a DNA test though?
No, not at this stage, no.
Oh yeah.
Make sure you have one leg up. I am Ken McKenzie. I'm the Senior Wildlife Biologist with the Department of Conservation and Recreation. We're here in Lowell today catching gulls, ring-billed gulls, herring gulls, and possibly blackback gulls. Moments ago we fired off a net launcher baited with some bread and goldfish and caught 18 gulls here at the UMass Lowell boathouse and DCR property. And we're doing this study to try to figure out the movements of gulls around Massachusetts in relation to water supply. And additionally, we're cooperating with MIT to look at different diseases and parasites that these gulls might carry, like Giardia, Cryptosporidium, and avian influenza or bird flu. This here is a ring-billed gull. This is what mainly we capture. When we band each one, we take measurements from each one. The measurements help us sex each gull. There's no external way to sex these gulls, so measurements help us out do that. We weigh them, we put little bands on each leg. We'll put a federal band on the right leg and a colored band on the left leg. Helps us identify them. They could be seen sitting on the ice here or in a parking lot or even at a landfill in the future, and it helps us know where they've been, where they were captured, and how far they travel. We do know from our research that these gulls that are here in the winter don't stay here, that they go all the way up to Newfoundland and Labrador, and also as far south as Disney World and out to Bermuda even. So we started the study in 2008 and have learned a lot about these gulls and where they go and what they do, and it's sort of helped us target our goals as water supply in terms of minimizing the number of gulls that visit and sit on our water supply, or Boston's drinking water supply.
So, and you asked the public's help to identify the tags if they see them?
Yep, we asked the public's help for two things. To report any tag gulls that they see, and also to limit the amount of feeding that they do with these gulls. Artificially feeding these gulls keeps them around in places where they're not typically found, and also attracts them to public drinking water supplies. And that's sort of why we initially did the study, is to see how many people were feeding these gulls, where they could be found, and how much they rely on humans for food. And during the winter, it's a lot, almost exclusively.
Right, and then we keep them away from their normal breeding grounds. Is that correct?
Well, not their breeding grounds, but during the winter, They can be all over the place. These gulls could be at the coast eating natural foods, but instead they're inland. We're based out of Wachusett Reservoir and Quabbin Reservoir, and these gulls are traveling that far inland to get food in Worcester and in other cities there, and other big towns and places around there where people feed them. And historically they haven't been there, and now they're starting to come in based on the kindness of birders and people that feel bad for them. But they are gulls. They can fly. They fly huge distances, so they can go to where there is food.
So they don't really need our day-old bread.
No, no, they don't really need it. And it can be said that in terms of calories, one piece of bread can get a gull through its day. So it can find even small amounts of food are usually enough for it. So if it is at the coast, or even when all the snow melts and they're found in the fields, they start worming, taking worms out of the soil. So they're very adaptable, and they can get food wherever they need to. But when they have people, kindness of strangers feeding them, they don't have to try so hard, I guess.
Now, is there a difference? I've heard this reference to land gulls or seagulls.
Yeah.
Are these all the same gulls?
Yeah, they will go back and forth between the coast and inland, but ring-billed gulls are typically found more inland than herring gulls and blackback gulls. And, it's sort of hypothesized that the ring-billed gulls, which are the smaller ones here, like about the size of a crow, get outcompeted by the bigger herring gulls and blackback gulls at the coast.
Right.
So they find it much easier to go inland and rely on people for their food sources.
And that's what we see here, what you're holding.
Yep, you have almost a species that's almost entirely dependent on people now, which isn't good for wildlife. We want to keep wildlife wild.
Well, Ken, thank you very much.
He doesn't like what I'm saying.
I know he doesn't. Thank you so much, Ken.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.